Hey everyone, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jose, but you can call me Juice, and I hope you guys are having a great planty day. So today we're going to be talking about how I successfully pollinated my Anthurium forgetii and how I was able to get seeds and everything. So I'm really excited to show you guys the whole process, and I hope I can help anyone out there who is curious about doing this themselves. This is like literally a beginner's guide because this is my first time ever doing this, so I'm 100% a beginner, but also in saying that I'm not a professional or anything, so this is just my experience. Yeah, anyways, before we get into all of that, if you didn't already know, I do be uploading plant content here every week. So if you be looking for that, I got you. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, now that that's out of the way, let's just get right into this video. So I'm going to go ahead and start out by explaining the pollination process. So basically, once you have an anthurium that is mature enough, it will start producing flowers for you, usually with every new leaf. So I did pollinate my Anthurium forgetii with itself, and basically how I did this is when Anthurium flower, they actually go through both the female and the male phase. First they'll go through the female phase where once they're ready to receive pollen, they will have like little like drops of like sap. Obviously if it's the first time it's flowering, usually you're not gonna have pollen to pollinate it with right away unless you have like a ton of Anthurium or something. She was my only Anthurium for a long time, so I had to wait until she got into the male phase, which is when they start to produce the pollen. And you're probably wondering, how the heck did I pollinate it if it wasn't in a female phase anymore? So you can actually save your Anthurium pollen by freezing it. It actually lasts around like 6 months, so that's really cool. But basically what I did to collect it is I just took a bit of tin foil and I took a makeup brush. So when there was enough pollen, I would just go up to the flower and kind of just brush off the pollen into the tin foil. And then once I got enough, I would just fold it up and put it in a little baggie and put it in the freezer. And I really suggest using a makeup brush because I've seen some people use like toothbrushes or like paint brushes, but my thing is the makeup brush is literally like made to pick up powder. So I just feel like it's really good at picking up the pollen. So I feel like that definitely helped with how successful I was, because I just feel like she was able to really get covered in pollen when I was able to pollinate her. So speaking of, after I did get the pollen, I had to wait until she made another flower. And once she did and was ready to be pollinated, you know, I was definitely up in there. So I officially pollinated her on January 13th. And it did take around 2 months until I started harvesting the berries. And it was really fun to watch the berries come in because over those months, the little spots that I pollinated just started growing little bumps. And then the bumps would just keep getting bigger and bigger until they eventually turned into berries. Oh, and the other thing I almost forgot to mention is when you pollinate the flower, at least for my Anthurium forgetii, it does still go through the male phase. So you won't know if you were successful until after the flower is done with all of that. So even after I pollinated her, I still had to wait like maybe a week or so until like I actually knew that it worked, because usually after the male phase, if it wasn't pollinated, the flower will just die off and kind of turn like purple or like black. But I knew it wasn't dying because it literally stayed green. It only took 2 months for me. I'm pretty sure with other Anthurium, it can either take longer or shorter. Like I said, this is my first time ever doing this. So if you have any input about that yourself, you can, you know, leave it down in the comments for everyone to read. But I didn't start harvesting the berries until around April 15th. And how I knew they were ready is the berries will literally start like popping out of the fruit itself. I don't know what to call, like I guess the flower. And once they start doing that, it's usually pretty easy to just pull them out. And I found once I started harvesting them, a lot of them started popping out at once. So I feel like the plant was like, oh, it's go time. And I did harvest them over around like 3 days or so because there's definitely some berries that weren't as ripe. So I did let them ripen up a little bit more before I harvested them. But yeah, my first time doing this was really successful. Like there were so many berries, and that just means I got so many seeds. Each berry will have like 1 or 2 seeds in them, and a lot of them had 2 seeds. So yeah, do the math. I mean, I should have done the math, but when I was harvesting seeds, I literally stopped counting how many I was getting after 100. So I think I harvested around like 200 to 300-ish seeds, and a lot of them germinated. But what I did to actually harvest the seeds from the berries is I would just pluck off a couple at once and put them into a paper towel. And after I did that, I would smash them together so I could get the seeds out. And even after I got the seeds out, I did kind of scrub them a little bit more just to try to get as much of the berry like stuff off of it to reduce the risk of the seeds molding and stuff. But the thing with Anthurium seeds is you definitely don't want them to dry out at all, because then they will die. So literally as soon as I got these out of the berries, I just put them straight into sphagnum moss so that they could germinate. And yeah, that seemed to really work. I definitely suggest saving like any of your plastic fast food like takeout containers and stuff, because they really came in handy. If I didn't have all of this plastic saved, I would have had to like go buy a seed starting tray. So it was just really nice that I had all this stuff for free. But anyways, after putting them into the sphagnum moss to germinate, it did take around another month before I actually started seeing any leaves popping up. But one good indicator that the seeds are doing well is the seeds itself will actually turn green. So that's how you know it's like gonna start growing. But even some of the seeds that did turn green didn't fully germinate. So I don't know, I guess it just kind of depends, and you know, natural selection and all of that. But yeah, I started seeing the first leaves around May 21st. And ever since then, more and more have just been popping up. It is just so cute watching all of these little baby leaves starting to grow. And I can't wait to watch them continue to size up and like fully become the plant that they are. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the process. If I forgot anything, I'll definitely make sure to add it when I'm editing, maybe with like text on the screen or something. But we actually are going to be separating some of the seeds today, because I just feel like some of them are ready to be in their own pots now. I was gonna wait until they put out their second leaves, but I'm impatient, and honestly, they are getting a little cramped in some of the containers that I put them in. So I just want to make sure everyone has space and is good to go. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, y'all, so now we're going to be separating some of these seeds, especially the ones that are starting to get a little big, because like I said, they do be getting a little crowded, and I just want to make sure everything has the space to grow. I'm definitely not going to be able to get to all of them in this video, but I am just going to try and fill up this little box that I have right here. So basically, I'm just going to make sure the seeds that I take out have their own little pots, and I will be adding some sphagnum moss and literally just gonna place them right in here and watch the magic happen. But while I do this, I do want to just talk about some things I would do differently the next time that I pollinate an Anthurium. Honestly, it's not too much that I would do different, because I'm pretty sure I did mostly everything right, or at least it worked for me. And I definitely will be selling a lot of these, because obviously I'm not going to have enough space for a bunch of baby forgetii. So I guess y'all can help me out with that or whatever. But I am working on a website right now to, you know, sell plants on and some other merchandise. It's definitely still a work in progress because I keep procrastinating it, but it will be out soon, trust me. And of course, I'll make an announcement whenever that happens. But anyways, let me get started. Or we're gonna be here all day. But yeah, one of the main things I would do differently this time is probably kind of obvious for other people, but basically when I was like researching about Anthurium seeds, I was finding out like when to harvest them and everything, like when they would be ready. And as I mentioned previously, they do pop out a little bit, but when I read like popped out, I literally thought they meant like the berries would like pop out and fall like to the ground or something. So I ended up putting a plastic Ziploc bag around the inflow. And this was definitely not a good idea, because over time, the inflow did accumulate a little bit of humidity. So there were like water droplets in it. And plus, just the bag itself added a little bit of weight onto the flower. So the stem actually ended up snapping in half, which literally devastated me, because I thought I was going to lose all that hard work I had just done and had been waiting on, you know. So yeah, I would have been so sad if I lost like all those berries because of my stupidity. But luckily I was able to save it. I basically just like made a little cast for her by taping her to a stake, and she was able to heal herself for the most part, because she luckily didn't like completely snap in half. She was just like bent. So yeah, definitely don't put a Ziploc bag over your inflow because it's gonna damage it. Sorry, I'm so bad at like multitasking, so I haven't even pulled out a single seed yet. So let me do that really quick. I'm just trying to be really, really gentle because obviously I don't want to rip any roots out. Okay. All right, y'all. So I was able to separate the first little seedling. So here's that little leaf, and she has a nice little root on her. So hopefully she'll continue to do well for me. I did soak the sphagnum moss in some Super Thrive and liquid dirt, so I'm hoping the Super Thrive will help with any transplant shock, and then of course the liquid dirt will give her all the nutrients that she needs to really start going. But yeah, I'm just gonna plop her right on into here. I'm not gonna pack it too tight because I don't want to damage anything, and also still want to make sure she can breathe. But yeah. There we go. She's in her own little pot. So I'm just gonna set her to the side really quick. And the next thing I would do differently next time is to expect the older leaves to start to deteriorate a little bit, because that like completely went out of my mind after I pollinated her, that obviously making the berries is going to take some energy out of the plant. So a symptom of that is some of her leaves starting to, you know, get some damage on them or like start looking all crispy. So I'm really hoping now that she's all done making her babies, she can just really focus on giving me some really beautiful leaves again. As you've probably seen in some of the clips that I showed, she did just put out a new leaf, and so far it is looking beautiful. Like literally is perfect right now. So I just hope it stays that way. I don't really plan on pollinating her again, because at least not anytime soon, because I really just want her to have big beautiful leaves again and not look so sad looking. But for sure I will be pollinating her someday later in the future, because I did recently get 2 new Anthurium. I got an Anthurium pterodactyl and an Anthurium veitchii. If you didn't know about that, maybe you want to go ahead and check out my last video. But I found out that I can cross-pollinate the forgetii and the veitchii. So whenever my veitchii starts flowering, I'm definitely going to try and do that. I guess I could even try it both ways, where I can have like the forgetii be the mother and then also try with the veitchii being the mother. I don't know if that would really like change how the plant looks that much, but that might be a cool little science experiment if I ever have the chance to do that. But anyways, let me freaking stop rambling on so I can actually get some work done. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and time lapse the rest of this. Alright y'all, so this is the progress I made so far, and I know I said I was going to fill this box up, but I actually ran out of sphagnum moss, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and end this video right here. So if you guys enjoyed watching, please make sure to leave me a like and a comment, especially if you found any of this information helpful. As I've mentioned before, I'm really excited to watch these continue to grow and become full-fledged plants. Hopefully everything keeps thriving. I'll definitely make sure to update you guys, but if you didn't already know, I do be uploading plant content here every week, so if you be looking for that, I got you. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night wherever you are from, and I hope to see y'all here in my next video. Bye.